this level that we talked about, is fire, shaping, tapas. Now, the reason why discipline is tapas is because you need to bring in the energy of this level, which the underlying triggers of this level is that it requires to shape something and make sure that things become predictable. That's the impulse or energy of that level. And this is also called the level of the human, of the manas, the first level of the manas. So evolutionarily, when you come to a certain age, your mind actually seeks some forms of control in order to shape itself. And usually you get the child into Upanayanam or whatever it is at that point of time. Okay? Now what they say is that you observe a child and see when the physical changes and the psychological changes have come to a certain maturity, and then you create social contexts in which the next level of shift can happen with the help of the social context. And this shift is always dramatized. So all the rituals which are called samskaras are therefore dramatized points of change, and all these dramatizations will do 2 or 3 things. It will give you a choice of 3 or 4 alternatives at that point of time. And then it will say that if you take this choice, this is the discipline that you'll have to follow in order to get the best fruits of this particular choice. Yeah? So, in the Upanayanam thing, for example, I was just very quickly telling you that you'll be given the choice of either becoming a hunter or this or this or this. And then the boy, through non-choice, is told that he has to become a so-called Brahmin, Brahmachari. Okay? So what does he do? He is then told that it's an extremely difficult task, and he is then given this idea that there is maybe I can use the word archetype now. There's a divine archetype of what it takes to walk this path. So what it takes to walk this path is equal to the story of Vamana. So there is Bali, who is Prahalada's grandson, who is a great person, who's got tremendous power and wealth and all of this kind of a thing, who's also a great, an extremely generous person. So he gives away. But he's got one vital fault. Therefore, the gods come together and say, what do we do about this? Yeah, because he's becoming too big for his boots type thing. So then Vishnu is chosen to go and deal with Bali. Yeah? And all of them realize that Bali is such a powerful person that dealing with him is not very easy. Therefore, Saraswati gives him some gifts. Okay? Durga gives him some gifts. So various people give this little child various kinds of gifts. Because without these gifts, it's very difficult to confront. So this kid goes there with his umbrella and carrying a book and a mala and some few gifts like this, and he will go and approach Bali. Okay? The story is that Bali actually knows who he is. Shukra comes and tells him, don't deal with this guy and all that. He says, no, my commitment is to offer to whoever comes whatever he wants. And Vamana comes at the end of the whole show. So this guy is given away all kinds of things, and then this little guy comes. Right? And then Bali says, what is it that you wish for? He says, all that I wish for is 3, whatever I can have with 3 steps of my foot. So Bali says, yes. Apparently, Shukra comes in and says, don't do this. Shukracharya says that. He says no. So he takes the first step, which covers all the earth. The second step covers the sky. And then he says, where is the third step? And he says, the third step is on me. And then he places the step and Bali goes to heaven after that. Now the third step is the critical thing here. That with some actions of mine, I can cover the bodily realms. I can get control. Okay, the word Jayam in Sanskrit is not the same as control or dominion or any of that, but I don't know what parallel word there. Vijayam simply means that I have ways of directing it and controlling it, like steering it, and not dominion. Yeah? And I have dominion over my brain and my other senses and all my faculties. And then the third step is on the ego. And if I have to walk the path of brahmacharya, I need to have this ability to have dominion over the physical manifestations of the self, over the psychological manifestations of the self, and finally allow the self itself to disappear. Right? If you remember the Saptada Pranta Bhumi Prajna, it's very similar. So the first steps have to do with understanding the physical parts of the yoga, whatever. The second steps are the psychological parts of the yoga. The other three steps we talked about yesterday. And then finally, the self itself is dissolved. So for that, you're given the blessings and all of that. And then you're told, that's the drama. Okay, there are other parts of the drama, like actually sub-incision happens, because women have this gift of clearly knowing that childhood is over and womanhood starts. Men don't. So they usually never grow up. So in tribal cultures, you actually had a fairly strong ritual at this time, which was sub-incision, where your penis was cut, not just foreskin removed. And okay, and then you had some scary scenes to go through and all this kind of things. In Upanayana also you do a little bit of shaving here. And it's very interesting that it is here, because the displaced symbolism and all that a little bit. So there are many of these things that have come again. So it's really saying you have to transition from one stage to another. And up till this stage, you're called a Balyan. And then you're called a Brahmachari. You're not called by those names at all. At each stage of growth, you have a different name, Tarunam, this, that. And also, you beg from your mother for food, because till that point of time, you could ask for whatever you wanted and take it as a right. But from this point of time, you have to start deserving and being offered, and you're clearly outside of this space. And the psychological thing is, the threshold is when the child starts understanding what is outside the home and what is inside the home. That's one big psychological signal, whether a person is ready for this step or not. So you don't do it at 7 or this or that. You do it at this point of time, because the child will keep on asking questions, right? At some point of time, the child will start asking questions that have to do with society and with the world, and why is this happening and that happening. That means the child psychologically become ready for this step. And you have similar things before marriage. You have, first you do samskaras that make sure that anything that you're carrying, which you haven't worked through, you work through. So you actually repeat all the karmas that you're supposed to, all the samskaras that you're supposed to do till then, before the marriage day. So you try in each ashrama, which is why I was saying, when you're talking about janma and this thing, it doesn't necessarily have to be previous birth. It is one form of the self. Okay, like jati desha, this is one form, this is one jati. Then you become a brahmacharya, that's another jati of the self. So in each transformation, if you haven't dealt with the previous residues fully, they will come back in the same old form. So before the marriage thing, you do a whole set of rituals, and then on the morning of the marriage, you're actually supposed to be given a choice. You're taken to the edge of the town. Those days, every town had a river. So you're left alone, and then one of his type of bachelor uncles will come and tell him why it is so good to be a bachelor uncle, usually from the father's side. Don't get married, what are the dangers of marriage and all of this. Then an uncle from the bride's side will come and tell him how beautiful it is to be married. Right? This is the cold door or the 5-star hotel types, and then he'll be each of them will call the other one the cold door and the 5-star, right? And then what they will do is they're supposed to leave this guy alone and come back. Yeah. Now, if he decides to cross the river, he goes on a Kashi Yatra. That means he's decided to become a sannyasi and go away. If he comes back, then he's offered all kinds of gifts and all of that and brought back, and then you do what is called a Gauri Kalyanam, which is you liken the marriage to all marriages that happen as a heavenly marriage types. So it's not just that you and I are getting married, but it's a huge thing, and then the marriage fest thing happens. So all of them have this structure.
Isn't that true?
It is true. It is true. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Which is why I was saying that at each stage, the imprint that you're giving is actually awakening a very, very deep positive motive of that particular stage of life, and help to understand it in dramatic, metaphorical ways and help you to act on it. But the problem is that you're not just given that motive and that archetype or whatever to work with and discover. It's very quickly converted into shoulds and musts and injunctions. So if the societal context doesn't give you an exploratory context, it becomes a very oppressive thing. Because you're then stuck with an inner ideal and an external oppressive context.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a problem. Yeah, so all that about Abhyasam and Vairagyam. So each stage you find the right practice, this is how you're helped, and all of that. Now I'm just going to talk to you about the mind that is in dhyana. Yeah, a couple of ideas. I'm just choosing one sutra. There are many sutras that talk about samadhi in subtly different ways, but all of them have the same connotation. Okay. This sutra says vitarka vichara ananda asmita rupa anugamat samprajnatah. The samprajnata samadhi means a samadhi which also has deep knowledge. So it has an object attached to it, and at the end of this there is some awakening of knowledge of some kind. Yeah? Now very interestingly, if you go back to our day 1, what happened in the group was vitarkam, debates. Yeah? So you have a previous way of looking at things, you have a previous anchorage, and you're entering into this inquiry, you're entering into this sadhana, and there are a lot of debates in the mind, but the mind is engaged with this particular inquiry and is on the path. It's on this focus. And all the vitarka is in some way helping you to focus. Okay? This is also because when you first start engaging, you have the Shabdartha Jnana Vikalpaihi Sankirna. Right? So you look at something, then the words come into your mind, the associations come into your mind, then a counter association will come into your mind, all kinds of things will happen. So that's the vitarka stage. Then you go into the next stage, which is called vichara, which is inquiry. Okay, so you really start looking at it and all these disturbing, it doesn't become conflicting. So whatever ideas come up and the way you work with the ideas, all of them will start focusing you, helping you more and more deeply onto that subject. Yeah? And the next stage is called Ananda, because there is an aha moment. You have a flash and you really start understanding what it is, and there's a joy of discovery. Right? And you go further, you and that become the same. Yeah? So whatever the object of inquiry is, so you really become that. So if you want to become a musician, the first time you start practicing, all kinds of things are happening. You're singing right, you're singing wrong, why am I singing, should I be in music at all kinds of things will be happening. And then you start really understanding, you understand the music, you understand various things. And there's a point of time when you really enjoy this whole thing. And then you move into becoming a dancer, period. And that's when the dance dances you and you're not trying very hard to dance or whatever. That's that stage. Yeah? And it's also very similar to those. So the first stage of you hit the outermost ends of yourself. Right? So the Paishachika Padam is what is encountering what is coming in. And then the next. Yeah? And then the Deva Padam, when you have the Ananda, and then you actually become that. So whatever is expresses itself through this form. Yeah, and this is true of almost anything. I mean, first time you start to write software, you struggle with it, then you start discovering, then you have this great joy of being able to write. And after that, you can hardly think on anything except software. Right? You find accountants, for example, everything about life, they'll be talking credit and debit because the whole structure of thinking has become like that sort of a thing. Yeah? Is this clear? And it's almost like that over the last 4 days. Yeah, suddenly he says, I'm actually discovering something here. Right? So that's how it happens. Yeah?